ever been thinking about disability? What does it mean? When you think of disability, is the first thing that pops into your head this? It's only natural, right? You see this symbol everywhere in public spaces. You assume the people that should have access to these things are people who you can visually tell have disabilities. They use a mobility aid like a wheelchair or a cane, or they're just old people. That's the assumption, right? But what if I were to tell you that it's not that simple? People who need to use these disability services are people like me. But hold on. I don't look like a person with disability, do I? What does a person with a disability look like? How does one define disability? Who qualifies for that label? A disability is any continuing condition that restricts everyday activities. The Disability Services Act of 1993 defines disability as meaning attributable to an intellectual, psychiatric, cognitive, neurological, sensory, or physical impairment, or a combination of these impairments, which is permanent or likely to be permanent, which may or may not be of a chronic or episodic nature, and which results in substantially reduced capacity of the person for communication, social interaction, learning, or mobility, and the need for continuing support services. Disability can be defined in different ways. In Australia, many data collections define disability based on the World Health Organization, which uses disability as an umbrella term for any or all of the following components, covering impairments, activity limitations, participation restrictions. Disability isn't black and white. It's all colours of the rainbow. Disability is thus not just a health problem. It is a complex phenomenon reflecting the interaction between features of the person's body and features of the society in which he or she lives. Evidence suggests that people with disabilities face barriers in accessing the health and rehabilitation services they need in many settings. Now, why do I care so much about a label? Why? Isn't it good that people don't see me as having a disability and that I pass as able-bodied? Yeah, you could argue that, but it's a double-edged sword, my friend. Since I don't look like I have a disability, trying to get help, empathy, or even simple understanding from people is extremely difficult. Invisible illness is a real thing. It's a real legitimate thing, and still there's this mentality that it's not. I went to the doctor the other week to apply for the Transport Access Scheme just to see whether I was eligible. Recently I made a big decision to get a wheelchair for myself because honestly I've needed one for years, but it's only now I finally feel mentally prepared to actually take the plunge and get one. Best decision ever. And I thought, well, while I'm at it, I might as well take another plunge and go ask about this service. Because hey, looking at the criteria, I spend more than half my time in bed, unable to leave it because of all my symptoms, and my ability to function is dodgy at best. So of course I'm eligible. Surprise, surprise. I was flat out rejected. The GP had already prejudged me by how I looked and said there isn't any point sending the form through. My chronic condition isn't legit enough to be considered, and I don't have a disability, she says. Why do I need this? Like, oh, my bad. I must have accidentally come out with my able-bodied disguise again. Silly me. Because of course, unless you see my disability, it isn't there, right? And you know, it wasn't even that she said no to my requests that hurt the most. It was her attitude. She really believed that I didn't have a disability. All of my life with chronic illness, I've been battling people like this. To the point where I had to battle my own self-doubt over whether I was worthy, sick enough, legit enough to be considered as having a disability at all, or whether I was really just another hypochondriac like everybody assumed. And this doctor just had to be yet another example of this constant invalidation and disbelief. Not to mention I have a woman's illness, which makes it that much worse. People hardly ever take me seriously. There's a big tendency to treat me like just another hysterical woman pretending to be sick for attention. No. You know what? I'm angry. The awareness and support for invisible disabilities like mine are ridiculously low versus the erasure and mistreatment that is staggeringly high. I refuse to believe that it has to stay this way. There are so many people out there like me. Millions worldwide. I acknowledge that invisible disabilities are multifaceted. They sit in this awkward grey area. It's not clear cut. But even so, it doesn't give an excuse to ignore and push us aside. My illness may be invisible, but I'm not. I'm a person. This is my life. And I demand to be seen. When your outside doesn't match your inside, things get complicated. I love to hear from you and hear what you have to say about this.
Wish you all the love and all the spoons. Oh, but dance.